Girl294 here, and if this is the first time you're tuning into my channel, or you somehow found this video before seeing my Watch Me Draw of the final version of this, I recommend that you go back and watch that video. In it, you see me adding color to the final version of this. That being said, I guess it is entirely your choice. Just a warning though, this video is entirely me talking with no wordless music. It is more stream of consciousness and more rambling on, and on, without reaching a definite point. So now that you've been warned that you'll miss out on the beautiful final version, if this video is all that you see, I will go ahead and tell you all about it. From initial conception to final version, this piece went through several major changes. I started with the skirt, which is a riskier move, I'll admit. Watch and you'll see I came close to running out of space for all the person. I knew I wanted a complicated skirt, but the exact details changed a few times. Some of those changes take place in the inking process. You can see the details of the skirt starting to form. The lacy middle part of the skirt changed the most from this point to the final picture. My idea for this was to personify the month of January. It seemed obvious to me that Jan should be the name of the person. I have known a few people who went by the name of Jan, and what they look like almost certainly affected my drawing. I think the details in the outfit are the main thing that make this piece feel like January, instead of just a Jan person. The body type and ultimately skin, hair, and eye color is partially based on the people named Jan that I've known. However, the hairstyle and the pose is based on what I think the month of January should look like. After drawing a skirt this detailed, I realized I was drawing some kind of formal or semi-formal outfit. At this point, I'm not sure what the top part of the outfit will look like. I'm thinking it will be a blouse of some kind, possibly a corset. When I come to the shoes, I decide to try something not too complicated, since feet and shoes can be kind of hard for me to draw, mostly because I do not have a lot of practice with them. I think the end result looks okay, and I should definitely practice shoes more often than I do. The torso and head need to fit correctly on the page. Thus, I penciled them in lighter at first, until I thought I had the proportions close to correct. As you can tell, I have to work with the torso and head a bit, to make sure my neck and arms look okay. Ultimately, since this is my first pencil sketching, I do not try to focus too much on getting the proportions perfect the first time. I have some difficulties at times if I get too focused on making it right, and have spent like 30 minutes in the past trying to perfect the circle that was just going to be erased in the end. So for guidelines and rough proportion layouts, I tend to go quickly and get something down. I have taken the philosophy that I can always fix it later if it needs it, but I cannot fix what does not exist. My shoulders end up a little strange, but I do not have an end goal in mind for the blouse yet, so I decided to put puffy sleeves and make it a corset also. I think this decision ended up for the best, although it is a sign I should probably be practicing my shoulders a bit more. As you can see, I spent a little while working with that one arm. Because I was aiming to have a certain kind of pose, it was struggling a little bit with the anatomy. I did not look up reference images, which is my normal method for solving that problem. My drawing did suffer a little for it, ultimately, but oh well. You can see once I have the general proportions, so I can be sure it will all fit, I go into more details about the exact pose for each arm. I decided earlier to do the puffy sleeves, as I mentioned, but I waited until I thought I had the arms about correct. Otherwise, I would have probably ended up with even stranger poses. The puffy sleeves were utilized because 1, they are cool, and 2, they help hide the shoulder width and height issues I sometimes have. Puffy sleeves cannot hide poor arm proportions. It is important to make sure the arm puffs are in proportion to each other. Of course, I was not completely done with the details of the skirt or shoes or arms. This part of the drawing process is probably hardest to talk about, because it is a lot of smaller changes that make a difference in the large picture, but each one individually is not exciting to me. I know what I was doing on this part is important, but it is honestly also boring. So instead of directly talking about what is happening on screen, I will talk about some general things about this piece. I plan to use blue, blue-green, and yellow heavily in the coloring process. For some reason, those colors seem associated with January to me. It seems funny that when I say it out loud that I know the color families I plan to use, but I still didn't have a clear idea of what I was drawing, details-wise. I knew I was going to have a corset, so I thought a long-sleeve undershirt with a semi-transparent neck piece would look cool. Once I actually started drawing some of these ideas, some other details started to come to me. The ideas were gradual at first, details like the shape of the neckline, and then quicker after that, like what style of corset. Even as I am drawing one thing, my brain is thinking of 2 to 5 alternate ideas that might also look cool. Some of the pauses in my drawing were me visualizing different concepts in my mind. Of course, most of the pauses were short enough that at the current sped up time, you cannot really tell. But trust me, there are some pauses in the drawing here and there. I ultimately ended up with a different corset and slightly different skirt in the final version of this piece, but that's okay. When it came to inking, I made some decisions that impacted the final result. I believe all of those changes were for the best. The details on her hand did not turn out the way I had pictured it, but I guess I have to let some things go. I could have probably spent an hour on her hand and still not been satisfied. That's okay, the hands look better than what I would have drawn last month or last year or a few years ago, so I am progressing as an artist. Yes, by the way, her hand is folded over itself, meaning she is pressing her knuckles into her side in a sassy pose. If you can't tell that's what's going on, oh well. The main focus of this piece was her outfit, obviously. Polka dots? Actually, no. I'm drawing a floral pattern. The flowers were not very fun to color in, but they added a nice touch to this shirt, so I'm glad I kept them. I considered drawing something else instead of flowers, or leaving her shirt as a solid color, but somehow that didn't feel right, you know. The corset is not looking how I want it to yet. I do not know who decided that putting little holes in the lacy part of the skirt was a good idea. Oh wait, that was me. Oh dear. Don't misunderstand. They look really cool, especially when colored in. It does, but the process of drawing, inking, and then coloring those things in was quite long. I did not even use all the holes in my final version. I did this partially as an effect to show different styles of lace in the skirt, and partially because I knew I was going to take a long time to draw, ink, and then color these holes. Would it have looked better with holes on every layer of lace, or does the final version look best? I don't know, but feel free to leave your opinion below in the comments. The holes in the lace make the texture of the clothing feel more real to me, so that is a plus. The details of this skirt are really a pain in the wrist. They do look great, I will admit, but ultimately they took a very, very long time to complete. Plus, after drawing some of these details in pencil, I ended up changing or deleting them entirely when it came to the ink picture. This is the way art ends up going sometimes though, isn't it? You start off with one clear picture in mind, but you end up with something a bit off or totally different. At least the final picture looks nice. But I'm guessing you somehow enjoy listening to me ramble on if you reach this point in the video. So thanks for watching and enjoying. No, this isn't the end of the video. There's still more than a minute left. But hey, I'm rambling, as I warned you. Oh, and I really like how the details of the clocks inside the flowers look, especially once colored in. The details of the face, head, and the corset were added in last, but they are probably the most important in my mind for actually conveying the personality of January. She focuses on time a lot and has a practical corset, with a watch attached and 2 pockets and some key rings attached to the strings attached to her corset. Plus that key, which obviously unlocks something quite important. Although it is impractical, I imagine her earrings actually do tell time. Of course, the pocket watch that she has attached to her corset has the ability to completely detach, or just partially detach, so it can be read with ease. The pocket has a button to help it stay closed. It really does come down to the smallest details sometimes to make the picture go from nice to great. With that, my video is done. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, liking, for whatever positive stuff you've done today to support another human being. Happy 2019.